Thank you, Jorge. It was a very, very interesting discussion, especially in the continuation of what has been said in the previous presentation. In general, my background as a physical geographer, I tended to gather the lessons learned, and I had my own considerations concerning the green infrastructure itself. And my original considerations of green infrastructures compared to in relation to the first presentations is that we always need to be quite careful when we're talking about ecosystem services and the functions that green infrastructures can deliver, because in general, maps and data can be deceiving. We need to take into consideration what it is represented, how it was measured, what is represented, at which scale, etc. And there are so many factors and specificities that need to take into consideration to really understand what the data and the maps show. And so this is very much related to the challenge of translating this information into the realm of human policies and spatial planning. We tend to quantify and to identify the positive and the added values of green areas and ecosystem services in order to fit into the realm of policies and spatial planning. And so this is now done trying to integrate actually ecosystem services in a legislative framework and create incentives to motivate stakeholders to do something, basically just to do something. And on the third session during the discussion, there were a lot of discussion points that are very, very relevant to this question. Is some people pointed out the problem of stakeholders and private companies actually trying to show through data that they are doing something about green infrastructures, especially to get funding and to have an economic advantage behind it. But does this really answer the problematic that green areas or green infrastructures are supposed to answer? And this question is sometimes unanswered or sometimes just no. So there was also a criticism to the concept of green infrastructures itself. The principle of, or the concept of green infrastructures actually follows a modern paradigm so that it can fit in the realm of policies and spatial planning. So perhaps, and it has to be, to fit in this realm, it has to be in a certain way translated into data or be quantifiable. As a geophysical or physical geographer, I can tell you that sometimes green processes or ecosystemic processes can actually not be exactly quantified because it's always a question of approximation. So I like the idea of taking into consideration traditional approaches to manage landscape and the processes and the physical processes that shape the landscape, and not necessarily to start trying to take a point of view of trying to quantify and translate everything into data in order to develop policies. Another point of view that another point of view during the discussion that I really thought it was interesting is the focus not on theoretical concepts, but clearly just on the implementation of measures, and to really, in all honesty, try to identify what were successes, what were challenges, and what were failures. The problem with this, with creating incentives and trying to fund, to create a policy process that fund certain projects, is that the stakeholders who receive the funding will always try to present things from a very successful point of view. So they won't talk about failures. While from a personal and philosophical point of view, it's very important to accept, acknowledge failures, and to be able to honestly discuss about it, because this is how we learn, and this is how we grow. So this is basically the different points that I have, that I will keep in mind from this peer learning workshop. I thank everybody, all the speakers and moderators for their time today. I also thank ESPON for organizing the event. I invite all the attendees and the speakers to fill in the post-event survey, be very honest about it, identify successes and failures as honest, with all honesty, so that we can learn from it. For the rest, I thank you, everybody. I wish you a very happy, a very nice afternoon, and hopefully we'll meet again. Goodbye.